The dust hasn't even settled on season 2, and yet whispers of the Dutton family's fate are already pulling us back into their world. With every generation, their story grows darker, more dangerous, and more captivating, and now, season 3 of 1923 promises to test their limits like never before. If you thought the battles over land, survival, and loyalty had already pushed the family to their breaking point, think again. What lies ahead could forever change the legacy that would one day shape Yellowstone. Before we dive into the new season, let's take a step back. Season 1 of 1923 threw us headfirst into the chaos of the early 20th century, a time where the Duttons were still clawing their way through history's hardest trials. We saw Jacob Dutton, played with fierce strength by Harrison Ford, fight to keep the ranch alive while the world around him was shifting. Cara Dutton, portrayed by the legendary Helen Mirren, became the emotional anchor, balancing heartbreak with unshakable resolve. Their struggles weren't just against rivals or the harsh Montana land, they were battles against time itself, against progress, and against the ruthless men who saw the Duttons as a family standing in the way of expansion. Season 1 also showed us the pain of loss and the price of loyalty. Death came quick and without mercy, reminding us that the Dutton name was built on sacrifice. It wasn't just about cattle, fences, or politics, it was about survival. Every character carried scars, some on the outside and many buried deep within. This is what made the story so powerful, the sense that the Duttons weren't untouchable legends but flesh and blood, fighting tooth and nail for their place in the world. Then came season 2, which only raised the stakes higher. The conflicts grew more intense, and the family bonds were tested in ways that shook viewers to the core. We witnessed betrayal where we least expected it, and alliances forming out of pure necessity. The Duttons' enemies multiplied, and so did the dangers pressing in from all sides. The world was changing, new industries, new power struggles, and the looming weight of history ready to crush anyone who stood still. Season 2 didn't just expand the drama. It gave us a raw look into the costs of leadership. Jacob's choices, driven by duty and pride, sparked ripples that could either save or doom the family. Cara's resilience shined, as she often became the quiet strength holding everyone together while storms raged both inside and outside the ranch. Every decision carried heavy consequences, and by the end of season 2, one thing became crystal clear: survival was no longer enough. The Duttons had to evolve, or they would vanish like so many families before them. This is why the return of 1923 is so highly anticipated. Season 3 isn't just another chapter, it's the continuation of a story that connects directly to the heart of the Yellowstone saga. The struggles of Jacob and Cara Dutton are not distant echoes, they are the very foundation of what we see in John Dutton's battles a century later. When we watch 1923, we're not only seeing history unfold, but we're witnessing the roots of a dynasty that would shape generations of drama, bloodshed, and power. As fans, this is where the excitement grows. All the pain, victories, and losses of the first 2 seasons set the stage for an even more explosive season 3. Questions are hanging heavy in the air. Will Jacob's health and leadership hold steady? Will Cara's strength be enough to shield the family from new threats? And how will the choices made in this era ripple into the Yellowstone timeline we already know so well? The moment the first images of season 3 surfaced, fans knew we were in for something special. The trailer wastes no time in setting the tone. It's darker, heavier, and somehow even more intense than before. From the very first frame, we feel the weight of the Dutton legacy pressing down. Dust rises over the Montana horizon. The camera pans slowly across the ranch, and silence fills the air before the tension erupts. That silence is broken by a single voice, filled with grit and determination, promising that this family will not go quietly. It's the kind of opening that gives you chills and immediately warns us. The Duttons are stepping into their most dangerous fight yet. Visually, the trailer leans into the era like never before. The 1920s were a time of transformation, and the show doesn't shy away from highlighting that change. We see shots of new machinery arriving in town, factories looming in the background and railroads stretching further than ever. This isn't just about the land anymore, it's about progress swallowing up tradition. The camera lingers on Jacob Dutton, his eyes shadowed by the brim of his hat, as he watches this progress unfold. It's clear he knows the fight isn't just with rival ranchers anymore. With the future itself, but the trailer doesn't stop at showing us landscapes and tension. It drops hints of heartbreak and betrayal. There's a moment where Cara stands alone on the porch, her face etched with sorrow, as if she's bracing for another devastating loss. A shadowed figure appears in the distance, and although the identity isn't revealed, the framing suggests this character could become a central figure in the conflict ahead. The camera work here is masterful: slow pans, dim lighting, and close-ups that make us lean closer to the screen, desperate to catch every detail. One of the most striking elements in the first look is the presence of violence lurking just beneath the surface. Gunfire echoes in the night, flames rise from a barn. A riderless horse gallops through the fields as if carrying the ghost of someone we've already lost. It's imagery that speaks louder than dialogue, telling us that blood will once again be spilled before this chapter ends. The Duttons have always been surrounded by death, but this time, the stakes feel bigger, almost as if the entire family line is standing at a crossroads. For fans who pay attention to detail, the trailer also teases connections to the wider Yellowstone universe. There are quick flashes, maps laid out on a table, letters stamped with official seals, men in suits exchanging tense glances that hint at political forces working behind the scenes. Could this be the beginning of the powerful institutions that the modern Duttons are still fighting in Yellowstone? It's subtle, but it plants seeds that this story is much more than just one family struggle. It's the origin of a battle that lasts generations. And yet, even in the midst of all this intensity, the trailer gives us small glimpses of humanity. Jacob and Cara share a quiet look across the dinner table, their bond unspoken but unbreakable. A young family member smiles as they ride across the ranch, a reminder of what's truly at stake: love, kinship, and the future of the Dutton name. These brief, tender moments stand out like flashes of light in a storm, grounding the series in emotion while chaos swirls around it. The brilliance of this first look lies in how much it reveals without actually giving the story away. It's a careful dance of showing us just enough to spark speculation while keeping the real secrets tightly locked. Every scene feels loaded with meaning, every shot a clue that fans will analyze frame by frame. Who is the mysterious rider seen galloping into town? Why does Cara's expression harden in that one quick shot? And what drives Jacob to raise his voice with such fury in the middle of a crowded gathering? By the time the trailer ends, we're left with more questions than answers. But that's exactly the point. It reminds us that this isn't just another season, it's the escalation of everything that has come before. The Duttons aren't just fighting for survival anymore. They're fighting for their place in history. Season 3's first look makes one thing clear: the past is alive, the future is closing in, and the Duttons are standing right in the middle of the storm. Asterisk if the trailer gave us hints. The predictions are where the real excitement begins. Season 3 of 1923 has the potential to be the most explosive chapter yet, and fans everywhere are piecing together what could happen next. The Dutton family has always stood at the center of chaos, but the new season feels like it might finally push them to the edge of their endurance. The way the first two seasons ended left us with burning questions, and the clues we've seen so far suggest that the answers will be shocking, heartbreaking, and unforgettable. One of the biggest predictions revolves around Jacob Dutton himself. In the earlier seasons, we've already seen his health take hits, his leadership questioned, and his determination tested. Harrison Ford's portrayal has made Jacob larger than life, but even legends face mortality. Could Season 3 be the chapter where Jacob begins to lose his grip, not just on the ranch, but on his own strength? The trailer's imagery of him watching change unfold with that weary look in his eyes suggests a man burdened by more than just external threats. Fans are speculating that Jacob may either pass on his leadership or face a devastating downfall that reshapes the family dynamic forever. Then there's Cara Dutton. If Jacob is the head, Cara has always been the heart of the family. Helen Mirren's performance has shown us a woman who can endure tragedy and still stand tall, but the sorrow in her eyes during those brief trailer shots may be hinting at new trials that strike closer than ever before. Predictions are circling that Cara could face betrayals from within, perhaps even from people she trusts the most. Could an ally turn against the family? Could a hidden truth about the Dutton past come back to haunt her? If Season 3 truly wants to leave a mark, Cara's resilience will be tested in ways that redefine her role in the legacy. Another thread worth pulling is the theme of land and progress. In Seasons 1 and 2, the Duttons fought tooth and nail to hold on to their land. But with the growing industrial world pressing in the trains, the politicians, the men in suits, it's no longer just about protecting cattle and fences. This time, it may be about fighting an enemy that doesn't carry guns but instead wields influence, money, and law. Fans believe we'll see the beginning of powerful institutions forming, ones that will evolve into the corporate and political threats faced in Yellowstone. If this prediction comes true, Season 3 could show us the first sparks of a generational war that stretches all the way to John Dutton's battles 100 years later, and let's not forget the possibility of new characters shifting the balance. Trailers often hide newcomers in shadows, and this one is no different. That mysterious rider galloping into town? That could be someone who changes everything, a long-lost family member, a former ally, or even an outsider with a claim to the land. Predictions suggest we may see blood ties revealed that complicate the Dutton lineage, adding drama that doesn't just come from outside enemies, but from within the family tree itself. The Yellowstone universe has always thrived on unexpected twists, and introducing a character who disrupts the core of the Dutton legacy would fit perfectly into that tradition. Violence, too, will almost certainly remain at the heart of the story. The flashes of fire, the gunshots in the night, these aren't just for drama, they're foreshadowing. Fans predict a major death is coming in Season 3, one that will leave viewers stunned and shift the course of the story permanently. The question is, who? Will it be an elder whose absence leaves a power vacuum, or a younger member whose loss shakes the family to its core? Whatever the case, Season 3 feels like it's building toward a sacrifice that will carry heavy consequences. Not just for the Duttons, but for the entire legacy. Finally, one of the most intriguing predictions centers on how 1923 connects to both 1883 and Yellowstone. The seeds of the Dutton dynasty's struggles are planted in these prequels, and fans are hungry to see more direct ties. Could Season 3 reveal more about how the family's earliest tragedies ripple forward into John Dutton's era? Perhaps. Letters, family heirlooms, or even decisions made in this chapter will echo across time, reminding us that the Dutton story is one long, unbroken chain of sacrifice and survival. What makes these predictions so thrilling is that they're built on the foundation 1923 has already laid. The show has proven time and again that it doesn't shy away from heartbreak or brutality. Every victory comes with a cost, and every moment of peace is shattered by the arrival of a new storm. If Season 3 follows this pattern, and the trailer suggests it will, we're in for a ride that is as devastating as it is unforgettable. The Duttons may be fighting for their lives, but they're also fighting for their place in history. And history, as we know, always comes with a price. Asterisk when it comes to 1923. The story is gripping, but it's the cast that gives it its unforgettable power. Season 3 isn't just about the continuation of a saga, it's about the return of faces that have already carved themselves into the hearts of fans, as well as the possible arrival of new players who could completely shift the game. The Yellowstone universe has always thrived on its characters, and Season 3 seems ready to bring us both the comfort of the familiar and the thrill of the unknown. At the center of it all, of course, are Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Their portrayals of Jacob and Cara Dutton have been nothing short of iconic. Ford brings a rugged determination that makes Jacob feel like a man carved out of the very Montana soil he protects. Mirren, on the other hand, has given us a Cara whose strength runs just as deep, balancing tenderness with an iron will. While there has been speculation about whether both stars would continue into Season 3, all signs point to their return. For fans, this is vital because without Jacob and Cara, the core of 1923 simply wouldn't be the same. Their dynamic, their struggles, and their love for the land anchor the show, and watching them face new storms is part of what keeps viewers glued to the screen, but returning cast isn't the only story. One of the most exciting things about a new season is always the chance of new characters stepping into the spotlight. The trailer has teased shadowy figures, unfamiliar faces, and sudden moments that don't connect to any characters we've seen before. This has sparked a wave of speculation about who these newcomers could be. Could they be allies who help the Duttons face the growing pressures of modernization? Or could they be rivals, politicians, businessmen, or even ambitious ranchers determined to tear down everything Jacob and Cara have built? Some fans predict the arrival of powerful government officials, characters who represent the growing influence of Washington in Montana's future. Others believe we may see the introduction of another ranching family, one whose vision of the West clashes directly with the Duttons. In a series like 1923, new characters aren't just added for drama, they're often game changers. They can bring secrets, ignite conflicts, or even unravel the carefully built trust within the Dutton household itself. What makes this speculation even more compelling is how these casting choices connect to the larger Yellowstone timeline. Every new face introduced in 1923 has the potential to become a name etched into the family's history. A rival in 1923 could very well be the ancestor of enemies we've seen in Yellowstone. A loyal ally could be the reason the Dutton family even survives into the modern era. This layering of characters across time is what makes the casting so important. It isn't just about who plays the role, but how that role echoes across generations. Of course, with new faces comes the excitement of casting announcements. Fans are buzzing online, waiting for any news about high-profile actors stepping into the Yellowstone universe. The franchise has a history of attracting big names, and with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren already on board, it's not far-fetched to expect more acclaimed actors joining in Season 3. A single casting reveal could set the entire fandom on fire, especially if it hints at a character with deep ties to the Dutton future. There's also the question of the younger characters. In 1923, the Dutton family legacy isn't just in the hands of Jacob and Cara, it's in the eyes of the next generation. Season 3 could shine a brighter light on these rising figures, giving them more room to grow, struggle, and define themselves in the harsh landscape of Montana. A focus on the younger Duttons would not only bring fresh energy to the show, but also bridge the gap toward the characters we know in Yellowstone. Fans are eager to see which of these next-generation Duttons will step forward and which may fall under the weight of expectation. But perhaps the most thrilling part of all this is the unknown. 1923 thrives on surprise, and Season 3 is almost guaranteed to introduce at least one character who completely changes the story. It could be someone with a claim to the land, someone carrying a long-hidden family connection, or someone who arrives with promises of help but whose motives are far darker. The Yellowstone universe has never shied away from morally complex characters, and adding fresh ones into the mix only heightens the tension. In the end, the cast news and character additions are more than just details, they're the beating heart of what makes 1923 come alive. Every face tells a story, every actor brings weight to the struggle, and every newcomer holds the possibility of shaking the Dutton world to its core. As fans, we watch not just for the sweeping landscapes or the intense battles, but for the people who carry those stories. And if the hints are right, Season 3 is about to bring us characters we'll never forget.